Hi, you guys. Okay, so I've been dying to do a Kim Zolciak Biermann video, and I'm ready. I've got the deets. I'm ready to do this. I know exactly what I think is going on here. And I just want to say, it's so funny. I go on Twitter, right? And you know how the New Jersey people are. They're very intense about Team Teresa, Margaret, this, that. But it's like, I'm not on anybody's team, but like they want to make me like I am just because I did an interview that was kind of damaging to Louis Ruelas, right? I mean, right? So I'm supposed to not do that. But I mean, they're like, well, I'm just not going to watch or listen. And I'm like, okay, well, deny yourself the tea then. Deny yourself the gossip. What the hell do I care? Like, this is I'm doing the Lord's work here. If you don't want to partake, that's your business. Because I know you guys know the truth, which is I don't give a crap about any of these people. I'm just telling you what I find out. The whole reason I don't stay close to anybody, or maybe I do, is that, I have to be able to speak honestly about everyone. No one's exempt. No one. Not even me. I talk shit about myself. So let's just take a look at Nene Leakes, who knew Kim Zolciak Biermann well, and given they didn't get along, but still, this is what she says, right? People magazine and in her book Never Make the Same Mistake Twice. She says, and I quote, "Every dollar that chick has is somebody else's husband's money." Okay, let's go back in time for a second. Kim Zolciak was introduced on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, right? And that premiered the first season on October 7, 2008. And at this time, she's with a gentleman, which I did a deep dive on, Lee Najjar, aka Big Papa. And he is her sugar daddy and is paying her bills and, totally supporting her. And he's married at the time. And she's proudly talking about having a sugar daddy. She's with him, Big Papa, from 2008 to 2009, maybe all the way to 2010, when she meets her future husband, Kroy Biermann, who participates in Dancing Stars of Atlanta, which is a charity event, okay? They immediately start dating. So about 2 months after she meets Kroy on this dancing charity event, she gets pregnant and she gives birth to their son, Kroy Jagger. Okay, he's born on May 31st, 2011. And then, of course, Kroy wants to do right by Kim. So he goes ahead and he marries her on November 11, 2011, after the baby is born. She then gets pregnant again with a son called Cash Cade, and he was born on August 15th, 2012. And then she has, on November 25th, 2013, twins, Kaya Rose and Kane Wren. When she meets Kroy is a successful NFL player. Here's some dates on that. So 2008 to 2015, he's with the Atlanta Falcons, and he's doing well in his NFL career. He gets awards, everything. He's celebrated. So then after all the kids are born, Kroy Biermann offers to legally adopt her 2 girls from her previous marriage. And this happens in 2013. Now, let me remind you again of the dates that he's a successful NFLer, 2008 to 2015. So at this time, he's still rocking it out with the Falcons. This means all the many children and the adoption, all of this happens while he's still a successful NFL player. Now, it gets really good for Kim Zolciak Biermann financially because between 2012, she not only has Kroy bringing in his NFL salary and even a little bit after that as he's like on the sidelines. But then on top of that, she does Don't Be Tardy between 2012 to 2020, and it ends up getting canceled in May of 2021. And she was making bank on that show because she was a producer. She was a star on it. Her whole family probably got paid because the whole show revolved around them, something. And so they did really well on that show. But anyway, in May of 2021, it's announced that Don't Be Tardy had been canceled after 8 seasons. Okay, So in 2016, when Kroy stops working, you would think he'd have a big NFL pension. Well, guess what? NFL players don't really get pensions that much anymore, unfortunately. Another really bad thing about the NFL, unless they've been in the NFL for a long period of time. And then there are different things. Let me show you. All right, so this is from the NFL website. Kroy played, I don't know, seven and a half seasons, let's say. Okay, give or take. And so essentially he would get some pension, but whatever pension he gets doesn't start until 55. So he has to wait to get his NFL pension till he gets older. And then it's only based on 3+ seasons. And since he only played for an additional 4, I can only imagine that it's decent, but it's not a lot, not at the level that they were spending. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about. Here you go. If players want money earlier, they can choose to receive benefits from the annuity program as early as age 35. So even though players retire at a young age, they can't access their full NFL retirement benefits right away. By the way, if they do that, they give up benefits. So I would imagine that Kroy probably didn't want to do that. Now look at this. Currently a player with the minimum of 3 years of play, he had 7, would receive an annual pension check of $21,360 at retirement. Again, retirement's 55. On average, retired players receive about $43,000 annually from their pension. I'd put him in this category. That's basically $3,000 a month. I mean, bread is like $7 right now. Okay, this is nothing. This is like what I'm going to get. Well, I'm trying to establish that Kroy, without Tardy to the party, wasn't making a lot of money. Not very much at all, except whatever promos he could get and any business deals that Kim Zolciak brought in through her being an influencer, because she has like 3.2 million followers on Instagram. But those deals, a lot of them went sour. I don't think they got paid a lot on them. I don't think they know how to really manage that kind of thing well. And I think she has done a lot of promo work and she's not getting paid enough money on it, okay? Because she doesn't have an agent. So then the foreclosures happen. We know there's multiple mortgages on the property. Seemed shocking to a lot of people that they didn't own their house outright with the years of money that they had. But they were showing a very lavish lifestyle on their TV shows and they had to live up to that. And I don't think their reality show, even though she produced it, paid for that. It was like they had to do that as part of their side of the deal to get a TV show. It's like, you're going to have the big mansion and the lifestyle and we're going to pay the cost to produce the show and you're going to get a pay day off it, and that's that. So I think that they started to leverage the money on the property. Okay, so I think Kim Zolciak was aware that they were pulling out the equity on the house she lived in and bought with Kroy back in the day when they got together, and they both owned it. But every time people said, is everything okay? She's like, I'll never divorce him, she said. I'll never leave him. And then also people asked about Big Papa. Have you talked to him? Have you talked to him? She says, I haven't talked to Big Papa for 7 years. I have no idea how he's doing. I don't talk to Big Papa. All right. So anyway, when the mortgage situation started to come out in the press, she panicked. She's, not great for promotional purposes, not great for sponsorship deals and things like that. So she's like, oh my gosh, I have like 1 million kids. I've got to hustle. So she starts this whole thing about a TV show, which she tries to get in development with a company out of Los Angeles that does other reality shows. But it's very ethereal. It doesn't seem like the showrunner has sold the show yet. And it's about the girls, basically going out on their own and trying to make it when they've come up in this like really rich lifestyle. Again, I don't think they get a lot of traction on this. Now remember, Kim is also involved with a bunch of scandals with things that she's selling, companies not fulfilling orders, all this stuff. And she's getting blamed for it. That she's like some sort of a bad businesswoman, that like all of her products don't ship. This is what the fans are like experiencing. There was a whole thing about this on Instagram, people upset, wanting to call her out for taking people's money and not shipping product and all this stuff. Then, okay? The nail in the coffin, the freaking tax lien. Oh, and she's allegedly gambling, right? And losing money, lots of money in her gambling. Okay, so let's just table that for a second. So now let's take a look at the tax lien here. You see that? That says Kimberly Zolciak and Kroy Biermann. This is both their tax debts. This one's for $15,104.72. This one is the $1 million one. There you go. And this also has both her name and his name on it. A federal tax lien. Here's what you need to know about tax liens, federal tax liens. Okay? In a divorce, tax debt can be divided up between the spouses just like other assets and debts in a divorce. However, it's important to realize that the IRS does not need to comply with your divorce decree when seeking payment of back taxes from a joint tax return. So do you know what that means? If Kim makes a lot of money and Kroy makes no money, the IRS can collect that entire debt from Kim, regardless of her divorce. Or the same goes for Kroy. And if they both do well, the IRS can say, okay, well, we'll honor the 50-50 component of a divorce. But it's up to us, and it depends who makes bank. And guess what? You cannot get rid of an IRS tax lien. You can negotiate it down with the help of professionals, but not by much, by an okay amount, sometimes half. I mean, it depends. But you can't get rid of it in a bankruptcy or any other way. It's there forever. Yeah. So you guys thinking that Kim is doing this divorce as like some sort of way of getting away from that tax debt is wrong. My feeling about this and about Kim and Kroy's divorce, he said irrevocably broken. He said it. So I believe that Kroy found out that Kim Zolciak was trying to get a new man in her life to pay her bills. It's her go-to move. She sees nothing wrong with it. In her mind, it's like if Kroy can't provide, she's out. That's her big thing. You may be like me and you've heard the tabloids say that Kim and Kroy were rushing to file divorce, and they weren't wrong. Kroy filed Monday and Kim filed over the weekend trying to beat him to it. But they did this for a very specific reason. The reason is that you often will file for divorce when you're afraid that your spouse will hide assets on you. So you want to get in there first to set the demands of all of the information that you're going to be asking them to keep and protect and not destroy. And you want to get that into the court as quickly as possible to protect the assets. So I believe that Kim believes Kroy is going to hide assets and Kroy believes Kim is going to hide assets. So they both ran to the court to get their filing in time. It had nothing to do with the parents. In fact, you will see that the tabloids call out, Kroy specifically says to Kim in his filing, which some people were shocked by, saying make sure she keeps this document, that document, all this paperwork, etc. He called it out. So that really is the reason. Like in some states, they say that doesn't count. But in this case, he specifically said it in the petition. So I know that's the reason he did it. You can look. A lot of lawyers will advise you to do that if you're afraid your spouse is going to hide assets in certain states. Now, Kim was posting loving messages with Kroy back in, last year in Thanksgiving time. And now her daughters, her older daughters who he adopted, or, one of them stopped following him. I think it was Brielle, to try to show her mom support, I guess. So I have no doubt that Kim is going to try to spin this, that Kroy was managing the money and that she knew nothing about all of this. And she just was like, where's all the money going? I don't have anything. And I do believe that Kroy is going to be like, that's BS. She knew everything I was doing. I may have been, functioning as the controller, but she knew everything I was doing as my spouse and all of the financial issues we were facing. And, they basically been living on their house for that's what they've been doing, not paying any mortgage or rent and living off that property. It's pretty obvious. And they've been playing the system, because you can stay in a house for years by playing the system if you lose your house to a bank. There's only so much they can do. Now, why are they asking for full custody? Because I think there's a reason, and you know what it is? I think Kim wants to move. And I think she either wants to move to Nashville or LA. And I think she's met somebody. I think she's met somebody already. And she wants to move to be closer to them, and they're going to pay her bills. And he doesn't want his children leaving Georgia, where he's at. And if he has 100% custody, then she can't take the kids out of Georgia. If she has 100% custody, then she can take the kids anywhere she wants. She doesn't have to keep them in the state of Georgia. So I think this is about somebody wanting to leave the state and the kids keeping them from doing that. Yeah, that's what I think. I also think both Kroy and Kim were blindsided by Tardy for the Party being canceled. I don't think they thought it was going to happen. And when it did, their lives imploded. They were like, oh, shit, we don't have the money to keep up our lifestyle. So they went in were optimistic, tried to hustle some business, and started living off the equity of their property. Okay, taking out a loan and living off the equity. That's what I think happened. And who knows what else, borrowing money from friends or whatever they had to do to survive. But then I think they just came to the end of the rope, and she was like, I have got to figure something out quick, and this is her go-to move. And Kroy is now going to be stuck picking up the pieces, but he's going to punish her now, big time, because he feels, I'm sure, like she used him in his best years of his career and then left him like a lump on the log. So many Reddit people felt Kroy could have cheated because he had, I guess, overlapped his relationship with this Elizabeth girl with Kim when he was starting to date Kim. So look at this, see? This is like testimony from his girl he was seeing. But I don't think he was that serious about her, to be fair. And I'm sure Kim was like, you need to provide for some hot chick like me. You took all of my, 40s away and, 50s, and I have to get a man. I only have so much time. By the way, look at how she looked in the last few months. She lost a ton of weight. She was working out. She was dressing super hot. She's had her messier years. You know what I'm saying? I'm not being mean, but it's true. And she hotted right up this last year. And that to me said she was fishing. I mean, sugardaddy.com. What can I tell you? No, she's in with a bunch of, Real Housewives of Atlanta women. Atlanta's supposed to be a hub for yachters. And then on top of that, she also has all these country music friends and stuff. I mean, it's not that hard to get set up. You know what I mean? Who knows? She could have even called Big Papa and said, I'm at the end of my rope. Do you want to get together again and catch up? And she already knows that it's transactional. I mean, he's really old now and his wife is still around, but it could be, you never know. A source quoted by People stated there's no cheating on either side, and it's essential to understand this. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you in London. By the way, you can buy all of her couture purses at her closet, Kim's Closet, okay? It's all for sale. There's not a lot left. A lot of people have already bought everything, but... All right, my friends, tell me what you've dug up, because I know you've dug up stuff. Email me in the Patreon or DM me. It takes me a little longer, but I will see it because I check everyone's DMs. And or leave a comment below if you've got a scoop and we'll go follow it up. I love my sleuths. Yay! I love to sleuth with you guys. It's so fun.